All right, guys, let's do another whole problem example. And what we're doing these problems again, this is literally everything that's going to be on your next test is just going to be, a ton of questions about this parabola, this concept of a parabola. So we want to go through the process and we're just going to keep practicing the process all week long. And hopefully by the end of this week or the beginning of next week, it'll be a lot easier. Right now, though, we're just starting to learn it, so I understand if it's a little bit tricky, and we'll keep practicing during our live sessions as well. All right, so we had already filled out our flowchart in our first example, so the flowchart stays the same. And then here is our second example. So if you printed out the worksheet, there was space for 2 examples, so here is our second one. For this example, I'm using the equation y equals x squared minus 2. In this equation, my a is 1. My b is missing. I am missing the term that has a letter x in it. So the b is 0 because it's not there. And then the negative 2 is my c because the negative 2 is my constant. So make sure if you are missing a term that you figure out which one am I missing. Am I missing the one that has a letter x or am I missing the constant? The first question we need to answer is, does it open up or down? And does it have a min or max? In this problem, my a is positive 1. So this one will be opening up and it will have a minimum. So it's a right side up U shape with a lowest point. Next, we'll do our axis of symmetry. I've identified my B as 0 and my A as 1, so I'm going to plug that in. And whenever you have a 0 on top of a fraction bar, your answer is just going to be 0. So my axis of symmetry is at x equals 0. Remember, the format for your answer needs to be x equals a number. Now, we're going to use our axis of symmetry to find our vertex. We're going to plug in the number 0 for the letter x so that we can determine what our y-coordinate is. Remember, the vertex is an ordered pair. It's a point. It needs an x and a y. The x is the same number you got for your axis of symmetry, and then we have just determined that the y is negative 2. So 0, negative 2 is my vertex. Now in this example, that also happens to be my y-intercept because my c value is negative 2. So in this problem, my vertex will be on the y-axis. And we're going to find that right now. When you're graphing, you should start by graphing your axis of symmetry. For x equals 0, we're going to stay on the origin, and remember we're drawing a nice vertical line. So this is actually right on top of the y-axis. My vertex needs to be at the ordered pair 0, negative 2, so 0, negative 2 down here. That's also my y-intercept. We're doing good so far. Next, I'm going to use my special ordered pairs. For the special ordered pairs, you're supposed to multiply the y-coordinate by the letter a. In this problem, a is 1. So my y-coordinates will not change because when I multiply by 1, it stays the same. My first special ordered pair is 1, 1. So I'm going to put my pencil on my vertex, and I'm going to go right 1 and up 1. And then we reflect, so we also go left 1 and up 1. My next special ordered pair is 2, 4. Putting your pencil back on the vertex, I'm going to go right 2 and up 4. And I'm going to reflect left 2 and up 4. My final special ordered pair is 3, 9. So I'm going to go right 3 and up 9. Sometimes the 3, 9 doesn't fit on the graph, but you should try it because if it does fit, you do need to graph it. When we're connecting our dots, we're connecting them with a curve, a U shape, not straight lines, a curve. This is my graph. The last thing we need to check for is our x-intercepts, and we check for that last because we're going to look at the graph to find them. Now, this problem is a little bit different than our last problem. We do have 2 x-intercepts. There are 2 places where the graph is crossing the x-axis, but I did not draw actual dots on my x-axis, which means that it's not crossing on whole numbers. So I can't just write an ordered pair. I can't look at it and be like, oh, that's like -1.5. Like, I don't know where that decimal is. And I don't want to estimate it. So in this problem, it does cross the x-axis twice. My curve shape crosses it twice. But since I did not draw dots, I cannot write an exact ordered pair. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say where it is falling between. So for this one on the left side, this one is falling between, let's see if I can draw it there for you. It's falling between the -2 and the -1. That's where it's crossing, somewhere between those two numbers. So that's what I'm going to write, between -2 and -1. And then for the right side over here, and I've already written it down, but it's falling between the 1 and the 2, right? It's trapped somewhere in the middle. So it's not going to be an exact answer, and that's okay. We can't get an exact answer from this graph because it is a decimal. Now, if you do want an exact answer, and it's going to have to be a rounded exact answer, you could do the quadratic formula from our last chapter. So if you do the quadratic formula, this would be one of those problems where you get a really long decimal answer and you would need to round it. And hopefully your decimal is -1 point something and +1 point something. But for our graphing purposes, it's okay to just say it's between those two numbers. This concludes our second video.